What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video in the next episode of the MotoGP 25 career mode for part number 10. Today, the Assen Grand Prix, the Moto TT of Assen at the Cathedral of Speed. If you missed any of the last episodes, as always, recommend you go back and check them out. There is a link to the playlist and the last episode down in the description below. But we're coming into Assen after regaining the lead of the Moto3 World Championship after what I can only describe as one of the most craziest and bizarre races I've ever seen on a MotoGP game back in Mugello. Big drama for our championship rivals. Angel Piqueras crashing out, Rueda crashing out, and we were locked in a battle at the front, but we're still chasing that first Moto3 victory. Will it come today at Assen? We've got an uphill challenge to climb because we have got a wet practice session, and as you saw at Aragon back when the race started under full wet conditions, our pace was not good at all. We struggled in the wet, and it looks like we might be under the same predicament here in Assen because the outlap didn't feel the best, it must be said. And we're just going to have to wait and see what happens as we head through this practice session. We've got a lot of fuel on board, so we can just keep spinning laps, and hopefully the feeling improves like it did in Aragon. I know that back in the Aragon Grand Prix, the track was drying, so the grip levels was getting better and better as the track got a little bit drier and drier before they eventually thrown, I think, a little bit premature red flag. I don't think we needed the red flag in that one, but the race direction, the race organisers throwing the red flag on lap number 6, I think it was, of the 8 of the Aragon Grand Prix. But as we head through the chicane and across the line to end our first lap in practice, there's a couple of screen glitches. I don't know if that's just me previewing this Sony Vegas or if the recording is being a bit of a pain again. I am, as I said, in Mugello trying to fix that with the Elgato capture card, but for some reason it does like to glitch and stutter every now and then, which is a bit of a pain when you're trying to produce some videos. But anyway, our first lap puts us P14 and in that all-important top Q2 positions. But as we roll through that Gert Timber chicane, again, a lot more riders completing their laps. We're down into P20, and as we cross the line to set what is another personal best by half a second, we remain down in P20. So quite a long way away from the top guys at the minute. 1.3 seconds down on Stefano Neppa, who currently leads the way ahead of Tayo Furusato, his teammate in the 658 squad. So across the line now, it's another improvement by a tenth of a second, a 49.400. And again, it's not to be. It is not looking like we're going to be getting anywhere near the top guys as we come out of the final corner. Again, finding time though with every lap and getting closer and closer down into the 49.2s. But it's a 47.9 at the minute from David Almanza, 1.2 seconds clear at the top of the timesheets. Joel Kelso, who needs a bit of a result, he's currently second in this session. But as we skip on, you're about to witness one of the most craziest things as Angel Piqueras goes and sets a 1:42.7. 6 seconds clear than what we've done. Like, that is surely a glitch, as we've just accelerated a bit of time to get nearer the end to see what lap times they were doing in the qualifying runs. A 1:42.7, that has to be like a dry time, surely. There is no way that you can do a 42.7. We're actually behind Piqueras now on his outlap, and we'll get a good look at whether Piqueras is actually really doing 42.7s or not. I mean, judging by the outlap, I would say not, because you would expect him to be doing 45, 46s on an outlap if he's doing 42s in the actual flying lap. But it looks like we're going to be stuck outside the top 14, because if all the top 14 have set an unrealistic lap time, then we might be cooked here in Assen. But through the final chicane, the Gert Timber chicane, we lost a lot of time there, making a mistake on the inside curb on the right hander, running wide in the middle of it. This time though, on our final lap of the session, looks a bit better, a little bit wide though. We didn't carry the momentum through, and that cost us time, and we don't improve, and it is going to be P26 at the end of free practice. That P14 place that was taken by Joel Kelso. I didn't quite catch the lap time of Kelso, but that is not what we wanted to see at the end of free practice. And for, I think, the first time this season, we are going through Q1 which is not pleasant at all. And to make matters worse, the conditions for Q1 exactly the same as it was in free practice. So we've got a bit of a battle on our hands to get into that top 4 that we need to get into Q2. And it would be a shame if our Q2 journey came to an end here in this season. I would like to have a 100% record of Q2, but we've got an uphill battle here because we've got Kelso, Munoz, Fernandez, Lunetta. We have some big, fast names in Q1 here, all with a chance of getting through into qualifying 2. But we've got 15 minutes to sort it out and set the grid for qualifying. Hopefully we can get into that top 4 and get into what will be the top 18 for Q2. But we're going to have to wait and see. It's not going to be an easy task as we head out for qualifying number 1. So let's see what we can do. Full wet tyres. We're going to have to put the fresh ones on because the game trying to make us go out on the used medium wet tyres, which is not a vibe. And as we head into the chicane to end the outlap, we're going to slot ourselves in behind this group of Uriarte, Moodley and Cormac Buchanan as well. So a bit of a marker on this first lap to try and drag us around this TT circuit of Assen. Obviously, I don't know where these guys are going to be. I don't expect these will be inside the top 4, but we have seen in the past Moodley and Buchanan making it through to Q2, so maybe it's not actually a bad marker to have around this iconic Dutch circuit. But as you can see, a bike protesting a little bit through turns 3 and 4 and out into the stubborn of the hairpin that will then take us onto the back straight and down towards the end of sector number 1. So we're obviously not going to get any time against anybody else because nobody's set a lap time yet, but as we come to the end of the lap, we are getting the first laps in from Luca Lunetta, Detwiller and Alvaro Carpe, all setting lap times in the top 3. But as we come through the chicane, we're going to find out where we are going to place. We lost a little bit of time to the group, so I don't expect to be ahead of anybody. As we cross the line, we're 7 tenths down from Alvaro Carpe, who is holding P6. Moodley and Marcus Uriarte moving into the top 4 as it stands, but we're going for another lap now as Joel Kelso goes fastest, a 1:48.1, beaten pretty quickly by David Munoz and Adrian Fernandez. So Munoz into the 47s, a 1:47.941. That's 1.2 seconds quicker than what we've managed. But we did go red in the first sector, a personal best in the middle sector, and we have got a lap rolling here, half a second clear of our best time already of a 49.1. So we might be getting into the 48s here in Assen. We're gaining a little bit of time on the group in front. We're a second under our best time, so it looks like we are going to be moving a little bit closer towards the top guys, just a tenth and a bit, just under 2 tenths away from Munoz in that third sector as we head towards the very fast Ramshoek section of the circuit and down towards the Goethe chicane. One rider pulls off. That looks like it was Moodley pulling into the pits right across the nose of his teammate, who I think will be less appreciative of that. I don't know what he's got on his lap. He's got personal best in the middle sector, nothing special in the final sector, and across the line we drag ourselves just to P11 and 1 place ahead of Cormac Buchanan. So it wasn't really that much of a gain as I expected it to be, because Alvaro Carpe has put a 47.6 in. Lunetta's moved up to second. Munoz and Fernandez third and fourth. Kelso currently the first man to miss out in P5. But as we go for another lap, Buchanan and Uriarte peel off into the pit lane, and we're going to find a bit more time as we head into the Goethe chicane for what will be our final lap of this run. 4 tenths of a second in our pocket. We lose a bit of time though through the final chicane, and we move into P5, and the time that we lost is the difference between potentially getting into Q2 and not. And on our final run, we weren't able to improve, and it is going to be a Q1 elimination for us. We are the first rider to miss out by 50 thousandths of a second. The time that we lost in that final chicane was the difference there between making it and not. A 48.041, and unfortunately we got an early bath on this Saturday at Assen, and we're going to be starting the Dutch Grand Prix from P19, which is a mammoth task to try and get through, but we'll see what we can do. Let's go racing here at Assen for the Dutch Grand Prix.
Race day has arrived here in Assen. A huge crowd has already packed the stands. Everything is ready for the traditional Dutch Grand Prix. In a few moments, we'll move to the main straight to watch the start of the Moto3 race.
Here we go then, the Dutch Grand Prix at Assen, the TT Cathedral of Speed, and it plays host to round 10 of the Moto3 World Championship. We are going from 19th on the grid, and we've got an uphill challenge if we want to try and get anywhere near the front. We're going to have Rueda in the mix, we're going to have Piqueras in the mix, our championship rivals starting on the front row. Piqueras on pole, Rueda starting this one from second on the grid as well. So both of them, our championship rivals, at the front of the field, and we are mired right down in P19. So we've got an uphill challenge ahead of us if we want to get anywhere near them guys and reduce the damage done in the championship, because it kind of feels like at the minute whoever leads the Moto3 Championship doesn't want to lead it that long, and the positions and the lead of the standings getting chopped and changed left, right and centre. However, another talking point is this is the first time this weekend that we'll be riding in the dry. It's been wet practice, wet qualifying, but for the first time this weekend for round number 10, we've got a dry race ahead of us. So the soft tyres are on. Let's see what we can do at the Dutch Grand Prix.
There's something magical about racing at Assen. The crowd is ready, the riders are ready, we're ready, and in a few moments we'll see the start of the Dutch Grand Prix.
The Dutch Grand Prix of Assen is about to get underway. Piqueras on pole, Rueda on the front row, and Alvaro Carpe there as well in third position. But we've got a job to do from 19th on the grid as we go racing in Assen, and it's not a good start because we've already fallen behind Kelso, we've fallen behind Ricky Rossi, Dirtweiler there as well. But as we head in towards turn number 1, we're going to look round the outside of a couple of riders on the brakes. We get a little bit squeezed out by, what's that, Rolston, I think that is, on the right hand side. It might have actually been Peroni on the Tech 3 bike, but round the outside, and we get ahead of our teammate there as well, Nicolo Carraro. So making up a few positions on the opening lap and the opening couple of corners up into P15, and then we get a big dive up the inside at the Strubben hairpin. Everybody checking up as they all battle for position, and we find the gap and we move up into P11, and now we're behind our rival from the Italian Grand Prix last time out, Luca Lanetta. But Rolston looking to the inside with that distinctive black helmet that he runs in this career mode through the little right-left chicane for the first time. We're still under pressure from Rolston, who finds the gap on the inside. We left the door open for Rolston just to say thank you very much and come on through, and Rolston moves up into P11. So we're now going to try and get back ahead of the Australians as we head into turn number 9, the Bolt, and then we'll flick it right for turn 10. There's a gap on the inside. We look to the inside of Rolston. We get very close to the back of him, maybe a little bit of contact with him and run him a little bit wide, but that does let us through into the Duke of Slut. Now it's all about getting the best exit possible. We've bit track limits there on the way through the right hander, and now it's all about the speed and all about getting everything perfect and getting the run through towards the Strubben hairpin. Here is the leading group. It's Rueda who leads the way. Piqueras is second, Carpe there in third, and then Max Quiles with that distinctive Red Bull helmet on the MTA bike is there in fourth, with Adrian Fernandez just behind him as well. So a good start to the race for Rueda, although he's now fallen back behind Piqueras, but I did see him diving up the inside of Angel Piqueras as we go around the outside of a couple of riders as well. Luca Lanetta and David Almanza getting done on the Strubben hairpin as we fly now towards the right and at the end of the back straight, and it is a solid start to proceedings for us here in Assen. We're already up into the cusp of the top 10, and we've got Guido Pini ahead of us now as the next man on our list to try and attack, but it is Piqueras who leads the way ahead of his fellow championship rival and our championship rival as well, Jose Antonio Rueda. But as we run a little bit wide there, we're going to relinquish 9th place to David Almanza and slip back into 10th position behind the Leopard Honda, and we'll be able to use that as a little bit of slipstream, and that should then slingshot us towards the group with Guido Pini and the leading other 7 riders as we now head through turn 12, gaining all the time on David Almanza. We look to the inside there at the right-hander. That would have been brave as we head towards the Ramshook. We're instead going to try and switch back on Almanza, see if we can make the move. We're going to go round the outside of Almanza, and we do get through on the Leopard once again and back up into P9, and we've got 7/10 of a second now to try and gain on Pini on this third lap. But out front it is still Angel Piqueras who leads the way ahead of Jose Antonio Rueda. Alvaro Carpe still in third, Fernandez up into 4th place, but he's got Quiles on the inside, but no way through for Max Quiles. Munoz is there as well in what is 6th position in this race, and then Furusato in 7th ahead of Pini in 8th place as we now come to the end of lap number 3, gaining all the time on Pini as we head into the Goettinger chicane. Pini losing the front there a little bit, and that's a free position for us. Thank you very much to the Dynavolt Intact rider across the line to start lap number 4, and we are into what is P8, and now we can try and see what we can do about Furusato ahead of us, who has a bit of a moment there running into the back, or very close to the back of David Munoz's Dynavolt Intact team. So as we get by one, the other one is being pressurised by Furusato as he currently sits 6th in this race. The next man on our list is that 7th place 658 rider of Taya Furusato. Out of stubborn hairpin, we're gaining all the time right onto the back of Furusato. We're gaining a lot of time through that tight left-hander in the process of a battle ahead of us. And it is Furusato who is still holding advantage and holding firm in 7th position. Munoz losing a bit of time to the group in front, but we get a good run through the Russian hook, and that might allow us to maybe look at a move as we open up the second wall, and out of turn number 8 we might get a run into turn 9, but we run over the edge of the curb and we have to let that kind of attack go for now. But on the brakes into turn 9, we'll brake a little bit earlier, get the little switch back, try and carry a little bit more speed through the ball, and then open up these right-handers and maybe already think about lining a move up at the Goettinger chicane, or if we're brave enough, into the Ramsuk at that very fast left-hander. But let's see as we head now towards these fast right-handers. Another track limits warning, so we already need to be careful because we're getting track limits warning left, right, centre, and we're only halfway through this race, and we only have 2 more to play with as we head through the Ramsuk and towards the Goettinger chicane. I don't think we're going to be close enough for a move on Furusato, or are we? Because we're going in very hot around the outside of the Japanese rider who's made a mistake himself, and we do get through on Furusato and up into P7 now at the start of lap number 5. So we are through and we've cleared the 658 bike, and now we can try and do something about David Munoz ahead of us, then Max Quiles, and then it looks like Alvaro Carpe has dropped in behind Adrian Fernandez. The front 3 look like they're just getting away as we get a nice helicopter aerial shot of the Moto3 riders streaming through the Strubben and down this back straight. Rueda closing in on Piqueras. Is there a move coming from the KTM rider? He looks to the outside, there's no way through though as they change direction to the left hand side, and Fernandez remaining sitting pretty there in 3rd position. Here's Ogden, we've got a faller. It looks like it might be Foggia who's gone down, and Ogden has gone with him, and I think there's another rider involved, but we'll have to wait and see as we just look what happened. Dennis Foggia, just both wheels drifting away, and then Ogden and Kelso it is. Kelso's bad luck continues as he's collected by the stricken Aspar bike of Dennis Foggia. But as we look for another battle at the front, Rueda looking to try and get away through. There is a KTM on the left hand side, but it doesn't come into vision as we jumped on board there briefly with Piqueras. Rueda looks to go around the outside, there's no way through there though, and Fernandez's eyes are going to light up as he can now sniff a shot at 2nd position. Is he going to get round the outside into the ball? He's not quite, as Rueda holds firm on the inside and keeps that 2nd position, and now Fernandez losing a bit of time, and he's going to be under pressure from Alvaro Carpe now as they head through the right-hander. But as we start what will be our final lap of the race, we've not really made any inroads to the group, and in fact our tyres are really starting to drop off. We're back into the 140s, but the last lap was a 141.0, a high 1 minute 40 on lap 7 of this race. But as we head through turn number 1, we're going to have to just forget about the tyres at this stage. The right side of the tyre is really taking a battering here at Assen. We're going to have to forget about that and just leave it all on the line on this final lap to see if we can nab 6th position from Munoz, or even better, take Max Quiles' 5th place. But as we head through the Strubben left-hander, let's see if we can get the power down and see if we can do anything about this 8/10 gap. But as we head through the chicane in the high-speed section of the track, there's just not really much going for us at the minute as these guys continue to battle ahead of us. It is Piqueras, Rueda, Fernandez, then it is Carpe, Quiles, Munoz, and then you can see the gap back towards there as we continue to open up a little bit of breathing space to the riders behind. Furusato leading Pini, and David Almanza there as well, sitting just inside the top 10. But as we look at Fernandez getting a really good run out of the right-handers, but Rueda got a good run as well. But is there going to be a move coming from Rueda into the final corner? There's not. We go over the exit curb and the entry curb to the Goettinger chicane, but out of the chicane, Piqueras will win, Rueda 2nd, Fernandez 3rd, and it's going to be Carpe, Quiles, Munoz, and we're going to come home in P7.
Let's take a look at the final results of this Moto3 race. The riders are returning to the pits and we'll soon join them in Parc Ferme for the usual post-race interviews.
Piqueras wins the Dutch Grand Prix, and I'm pretty sure in doing so takes control once again of the Moto3 World Championship standings. Jose Antonio Rueda comes home in second, and Adrian Fernandez making it an all-Spanish podium, and in what is an all-Spanish top six with Carpe, Quiles and Munoz rounding out the 6th place there. We wasn't able to get in the mix, but a 40.000. How's that to scratch your brain? In P7, Furisato 8th, Pini 9th, David Almanza rounding out the top 10, Luca Lunetta 11th, Nepa 12th, our teammate Carraro in 13th, Ralston and his teammate Valentin Perrone picking up the final points in 15th position. We lost Kelso and we lost Ogden from the race. Foggia able to remount despite his bike being absolutely smashed at that high-speed chicane. He finished the race down in 23rd. Piqueras does lead the world standings ahead of Rueda. We're down into 3rd position, 11 points adrift from the Spaniard at the top of the standings. Adrian Fernandez, he's hit the 100-point mark in 4th, Munoz 5th. Quiles gets ahead of Foggia, who looks to have really lost form, as does Kelso as well. Our teammate Nicola Carraro there in 9th place. So Nicola Carraro needs to pull his finger out and start hitting the front and matching the form of us, because we are doing the business here and we are dragging this Snipers team to 3rd in the standings. But it's just 1 point between the team MSI and the Red Bull KTM IO squad in the team championship. We're 3rd, Leopard up to 4th, joint on points. So look at that. Us, Leopard and MTA all joint on 147 points in what is a very, very close battle for 3rd in this one. But there we go, the Dutch Grand Prix done and dusted. It wasn't the race to be. It was a big fight back from 19th on the grid, and we were able to cross the line in 7th at the end of the Dutch TT. But there we go, that is it for today. We are working with the track engineers here to improve the bike once more and see whether we can make some gains as we head into the German Grand Prix at Sachsenring. Not one of my favourite circuits on the calendar, but I'm sure we will be in the mix, hopefully to be in with a fight. We have still got to try and get our first win. We've not got a first victory. In 10 races, we haven't won a race, which I think might be the first time in a MotoGP career mode for a long time, so we need to put that right. But let's see what we can do as we head to Germany. Until then, thank you for watching, and goodbye.